Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to one of Naseej Academy webinar series that aim to share knowledge, ideas, and reflections on topic of interest, new trends, and rapid technology in the field of learning, knowledge management, digital transformation, and cultural institutions. Our webinar today with the title AI for Information Professionals. In this context, let me share with you first my reflection on the momentum of AI. I believe that our eagerness to equip artificial intelligence with human-like skills has led to the creation of new intelligence that are added to the human mind, and which the artificial intelligence then learns as a consequences. Thus, the process proceeds in two directions, each feed each other. No doubt, recently, AI has rapidly gained attention across many sectors, including libraries, archives, research institutions, and cultural institutions, so that we can find that technologies such as generative AI are changing how information is created, organized, shared, and accessed. As these technologies continue to evolve, they are also reshaping the roles, responsibilities, and skill sets of information professionals. This webinar aims to provide an accessible introduction to AI and its growing relevance in the field of information science. It will begin by discussing what artificial intelligence is and how it works, which is, I think, become one of the daily discussions. This will cover the overview of the generative AI. Then it will explore some of the most widely used AI tools and examining practically examples of how they are being applied in information environment. Finally, it is essential to consider the broader implication of this technology. Therefore, our speaker will also discuss ethical and social concerns related to AI. To talk about this topic, we are honored to have with us Dr. Yeon Syn, Associate Professor at the Department of Information Science at the Catholic University of America. Her research area focuses on user information behavior and interactions. Current research project includes topic on AI literacy and AI use, awarded with faculty fellowship from Center of Teaching Excellence on a research project on AI literacy in higher education institution, presented as an invited panelist on artificial intelligence and higher education. So please welcome Dr. Su, and I am inviting her to take lead of the virtual stage. And as we used to do, we will share with her our concern, our questions written in the question and answer box after she ended up with her presentation. Please, Dr. Su, all of us are waiting to receive your reflection on the AI with focusing on the information professionals. Please, Dr. Su.
Thank you, Dr. Abdullah Matali and Naseej Academy for inviting me for this exciting webinar. Today, I would like to cover some of the topics that everyone would be interested in discussing. And we'll talk about how this can be impacting and reflected into our profession. So, as Dr. Matawali introduced, we'll talk about AI, what is AI and how it works. That will lead to understanding some of the AI technology that could be relevant to library information science field. And we'll see some of the examples that can be used for our practices. And after that, we'll talk about some of the critical ethical issues that may impact on adopting AI technology in our field. And how can we contribute with these issues as information professionals. Okay. So let's start from what is AI and how it works. The term artificial intelligence was initially introduced by a group of scholars, computer scientists, who gathered in 1956 at the Dartmouth Summer Research Project on Artificial Intelligence. As you can see from the picture and the names identified, they are very famous computer scientists. They defined the term artificial intelligence as the field of study focused on creating machines that can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. So they were very clear that they're not trying to create an intelligent machines, but they're trying to create machines that can perform better based on human intelligence. And I think we should be clear about that in discussing artificial intelligence. So in old times, when people were visioning artificial intelligence, even though they were not using the term AI, then there were some visions that came from scholars. For example, in 1945, whenever Bush published an article on Memex, which was envisioning personalized assistant computer desk that can help you compile information from multiple sources, let you put annotations and let you put your personal interests so that it can provide information in a personalized way. And later in 1900, Apple introduced the concept of knowledge navigator, which was more like a personal assistant on a computer, where it helps you find the right doctor's appointment time based on your availability, location of the stores that you can visit based on your current location. So this is getting more advanced technology reflected into the vision. And later in a movie called Minority Report that was released earlier in 2000, you can see that they were using computer technology for decision makings, in this case mainly for the crime prevention. It was more advanced in terms of compiling information from the existing data set and coming out to a decision. So these were great examples of the visions that different media and articles from the scholars were presented that could lead us kind of see what is coming with artificial intelligence. What we actually see now is things like Alexa, smart home systems, recommender systems like Netflix, more intelligent systems like AlphaGo that plays a Go game with human, and more tools that you can actually see at a real life, a lot that give you a guidance on where to go in a particular space. All of these are called narrow AI. So if we talk about the types of AI, one type is narrow AI or weak AI. And this is the types of AI that is very specific in performing certain types of tasks, certain types of goals. So for example, playing Go game could be one example. Recommending movies to you would be another. So a lot of examples that we see these days are the examples of narrow AI. With all the visions that was presented earlier, we would like to present something that can be more general AI or strong AI. The general AI is more human-like intelligence that can understand the overall context that you provide, and can perform in a more contextual way, like human understand what is the surrounding related to the types of information you deal with. So this is more like the future that we envision. So based on what we have, what about ChatGPT? Because that's something that people talk about all the time. And ChatGPT is like the major example of AI tools that we see in current days. ChatGPT and GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. It's launched in 2022 by OpenAI, and it's basically a text-based generative AI tool that is interacting with users in a conversational style. And it's based on large language models. And a lot of these terms we've used a lot, and some of you maybe have full understanding of what they are. Some of you maybe just have a vague understanding of what these are. Understanding some of the concepts related to generative AI, overarching artificial intelligence functions with machine learning technology, deep learning technology, and all of that kind of supports generative AI. Generative AI is the types of AI technology that can generate new types of information, not just compiling what's provided, but based on what's provided, it generates new information. So it can create text, image, video, music, or speech. Any types of data can be generated through AI. There is a comparison between discriminative AI and generative AI. Discriminative AI is just finding patterns and classifies data based on what's provided. Generative AI is creating new information based on what's provided. ChatGPT also is based on large language model technology, which is mainly a language processing techniques based on neural network algorithms. And the main goal of this is let the machine to understand what human says in a human language style. So you don't have to format the language in the way that machine speaks, but we can just speak our own language and the machines will understand us. But if you fully understand how large language models work, it is based on a network of probabilistic math. So it's basically the mathematics calculating the possibility of how the grammar can structure certain sentences. So what LLMs creates is not always based on the facts, and that's why there is some issues on hallucination or making up some facts, because it sounds real in a sentence, but it may not be based on the facts. So understanding some basic concepts related to artificial intelligence, let's look at some of the examples of AI technology that is developed based on these basic concepts. So the major portion of generative AI tools we see is text-based generative AI, and ChatGPT is one of those. What it can do is communicate with users in a human language conversational style, and it helps it generates ideas, it summarizes information that you provide, it helps you find more information, it helps you edit and revise the language you constructed, or it helps you revise the text into something else that fits better for your goal or for a particular audience you have. So I think you are very familiar with text-based generative AI and what it can do. Another major and popularly used generative AI is image-based generative AI. And one technology that can be considered is text-to-image generation. So you describe the types of text you want, and it will generate an image. So as you can see from the image here, you can say a brain riding a rocket ship heading towards the moon, and the generative AI tool will understand what it means, and it generates an image like this. Sometimes you have to go through multiple iteration because your description may not be fully understood, or your description may not be reflecting what you're thinking fully. And so it can be done with multiple iteration of interactions with AI tool. In a lot of image-based generative AI tools, they are using what's called diffusion model. Diffusion model is mainly dealing with the noise in the image files. As you or may know, that images are created with pixels, and you kind of adjust the image quality based on that. And depending on how much noise is included in your image, you can kind of deal with the image files on how it can be presented. So in many AI tools that deals with images, they tend to rely heavily on diffusion model. Oops. For example, image cleanup. You can, when you take pictures and there are so many clouds in the scene and you might want to remove them, you can easily do that. And a lot of smartphone camera features now have these features, and those are coming from AI technology. So as you can see from this example, you have this beautiful scene in the picture, and there is one person that is interrupting the whole scene. So you can take this person out and then fill that space with what it actually can be, the scene in the background. And in here, it's called the image in-painting technology, because you're filling in what is blank in the image and try to complete the image when it's not complete. So this is one technology that deals with image, and it is actually used a lot in our field as well. The next technique is image outpainting. So let's say you have this picture. Based on what's given, you can expand the image and try to predict what's in the background. So for example, based on the context provided within the current image provided, you can outpaint the whole background and try to understand what the context is in this image. So based on some of this text-based and image-based technology, let's look at what kind of use we can have with AI technology in library information science field and our practices. The first example here is, the OCR, the traditional technology that we've been using for a long time, including the translation into it. A lot of this is detecting the text from image or any kind of electronic copies, and trying to come out with the information that is valuable for us. And with the support of AI technology, you can come out with the major keywords that describes this kind of information resources, makes it a lot easier for us to do a better metadata creation with the technology. Another example here is coming out with all the technology from the handwritten document, and from the image we detect the text to have it in a text format so that processing it is easier for us. Another example is extracting the data out of the image file or scanned copy of information and then putting that into a more human user-friendly presentation like a chart here. So from the old prints, you can easily translate into a better presentation for for users. Another major technology that we use often is detection. So the detection can happen mainly for the image files. We detect we do face detection to identify person. We do landmark detection to identify land, the locations. We have object detection to understand what's in the picture. So the first picture here indicates a person and an object. In this case, is a musical instrument, and it indicates that what category that they are. So if you look closer to this image, it indicates that the orange box is person and the red box is musical instrument. So it not only identifies that there is an object and a person, but it also indicates what kind of categories they can fall into. The next one, more classical drawings, and you identify all the objects in it. So the people in the image, in the drawing, babies, and objects, and you can kind of if you try to do more analysis on these kind of drawings, you can do better research on it based on what's been detected through AI, and also you can do a better resource description through it too. The image at the bottom identifies the building and what it is, and it can actually indicate the landmark, the name of the landmark as well. The last image at the bottom, right bottom side of the slide, not only indicates the building itself, but it also identifies a parts of the building. So the signs of the buildings, the architectural styles of the building. So it does a lot of detection on different types of information from the pictures of different parts of an architecture. So in that sense, you can use the detection technologies through AI to identify different types of information that can be really helpful for researchers and other users. Another types of context detection, another types of detection that you can consider is the context detection. The first example here is analyzing an image and identifying the colors used. So it presents the tones of the image, and the color analysis can help you also identify the similar types of materials based on the color, and you can use the image in images in different ways, and this provides another way of retrieving materials for users too. The second example is the image of an old magazine ad, and AI interprets what's provided in the text of this advertisement and then provides a description and historical context of what it means and why this kind of advertisement. So it kind of provides users with further information on historical context so that people can understand these advertisements better. The third one is providing the mood of an image, and this is done based on color detection of the objects and people all together, and it provides a mood of the image. So whether it's festive or you can kind of identify what is the context of the image based on the AI analysis of the mood. Next one, AI can compare and analyze information based on its own analysis of the data set. So in this image, it not only detects that it's an image of a person, but it can identify similar images that has similar kind of face or other objects or landmarks. So let's say this is an image of a Japanese geisha, and you can maybe retrieve other images that represent Japanese geisha. And as you can see from these smaller images, it indicates the similarity based on the score. So if you're looking for additional resources that's similar from an image collection, AI can help you do that. This example is to identify the events. So the image here is an image of tea ceremony, and it not only detects the person and objects in it, but based on what's in the image, it can identify that this is an image of tea ceremony. So what it can do is search the similar images, understanding that the original image was an image of certain types of events. So you can also have you can do search on a holiday, a Christmas dinner events, and then search similar events based on that. So AI not only identifies information from the image, but it goes beyond to understand the context and then analyze that, compare that with other images to provide a similar resources to the users. So another helpful technology that we can use from AI technology is filling in what's missing. So for example, in this image, somehow some of the texts are erased, and based on the analysis of AI, and especially the text-based AI, they are really good at understanding the structure of the text. So if you fill in this kind of text into, for example, like ChatGPT, it will be able to produce what may be the complete text. So it can fill in redacted text and provide you a potential full text information to you. Similarly, in an image case, we can use the diffusion model technology when there is a huge portion of image missing, like on the left side original image. You can do AI reconstruction to fill in that image and try to come up with what can be the full image, a complete image. It's not only for the 2D materials, it can only work for the 3D structures. So you can do 3D models. You can use virtual reality technology when there is a damaged sites or architecture. You can use these modelings to identify what will be the complete structure of a discovered site, for example, and that can help historians, for example, or anthropologists to understand what would be the complete, how the complete architecture or the site would look like based on what's been discovered. So even though we have, we can use this AI technology in many ways, and not just for our immediate information practices, but also for serving our users with different kind of retrieval outcomes that AI can bring to us. There are some of the things that we need to be aware of and cautious about, and that will also emphasize our role as information professionals in the age of AI. So let's talk a little bit about that. So the major concern that people brought up when AI became really popular with some of the tools that people can easily access now was the AI bias. People think that this is a very smart tool. You can easily access it. You can easily use it. It gives you the answers that looks very good. But we have to understand that the answers that AI generate is based on the training data that they are provided with, and so their knowledge is limited with the data that they are provided. And sometimes the data can include some biases, it's depending on how the data is collected, it's where it's coming from, who has collected it, we don't really think about it carefully because the outcomes are generated by the computer, and we kind of tend to trust it. The data that can be input as the training data can have different backgrounds in terms of the norms and the values that come from different communities and culture. There is also possibility of the changing standards and common sense about some of the social issues that we discuss. So that kind of potential bias needs to be considered carefully. A scholar Ferreras published an article in 2023 and categorized 6 different types of bias that AI can generate, and those include demographic biases based on the types of demographic groups that the training data represents. What AI generates can be biased, and the outputs can be favoring certain demographic groups over others. So you need to be cautious about what's provided to the AI in terms of demographic representation. Cultural bias, similarly, it can represent different cultural stereotypes and biases, and the data may be coming from certain cultural background and not representing other cultural backgrounds, so the outputs can be biased. Linguistic biases, so majority of the internet content is in English, and so I've heard from people from different countries saying that how, for example, like ChatGPT that is based on large language model can deal with English better than other languages, and that can be the case because of the linguistic biases it has with the training data it's been provided with. So I've heard from people with different language backgrounds saying different kind of experiences they have with the language that they speak. Temporal biases. So the training data continuously need to be updated so that the information that AI produces is also up to date. Otherwise, it will be producing outputs based on the outdated data it's been provided, and the answer may not be relevant in the current date. So So that is something to be think about. And when you use certain AI tools, you might also want to check the dates of the training data. There has been a lot of discussion about ChatGPT because some of the information were not up to date when it was initially released. And the OpenAI actually mentioned that the data is a little bit outdated, so it did not cover the most recent few years, and some of the research did not reflect that. Confirmation biases is kind of dealing with some pre-existing belief and some of the interactions that an individual may be having with the AI tools. It may be favoring what you would like and trying to produce what you would like, and you might want to you might end up getting some biased information based on that kind of interactions. So it may be producing something that is representing certain aspects or certain viewpoints based on understanding of what's being favored. Ideological and political biases, it can represent a certain political or ideological stand based on the data that's provided. So, and this has been some issue, it has been discussed as an issue as well because it can provide certain stereotypes and biases, and the tools could have certain stance in political point of view because of the data provided. Another issue to consider is, and it's also related to what's being input in the training data. So in information professional field, we have discussed a lot on copyright and intellectual property associated with AI use. There is two sides of argument. What's being input into AI is one debates that people are having. AI can only be input with copyrighted, copyright-free data, and that can limit what AI can run. And how do we keep up-to-date data to train AI? And so so the dealing with the copyrights and what's feeding into AI has been one issue, and a lot of debates are going in with the people who has the copyrights and the people who wants to provide up-to-date information to AI so that it can provide better outputs. Another discussion that we used to have is how do we deal with what AI, generative AI creates. It creates text, it creates music, it creates videos, sometimes like movies. Are they copyrighted? And that's another question that we deal with a lot. And if you look at some of the terms, U.S. copyright law says that the term author excludes non-humans. So if you just stick with it, then it excludes AI. But when you look at ChatGPT, they said that you can own your you can own what you created with ChatGPT, and does that mean that you have the copyright of what ChatGPT provided to you? So there is not a good understanding of how to deal with what generative AI created, and people have different ways of interpreting it. So the American Library Association, along with Library Copyright Alliance and Association of Research Libraries, announced comments of the Library Copyright Alliance on the inquiry concerning artificial intelligence and copyright. And this happened because there were so many debates among information professionals on how we deal with this. And this was announced in August 2023, so it's pretty recent, but some of the statements was interesting. They said, and I highlighted myself, so you can actually read the full document. It's pretty interesting to look at how they set tone of some of the issues that we've been arguing for. So some of the statements related to the copyright and AI, they said the ingestion of copyrighted works to create large language models or other AI training databases generally is a fair use. And a work that is generated by an AI might be copyrightable. So they don't really give you full answer, but there is some point of view that they actually provide as information professionals. It also continues that the copyright law should not be treated as a means for addressing these broader societal challenges. And it also said that AI has the potential to serve as a powerful tool in the hands of artists, enabling them to express their creativity in new and efficient ways, thereby furthering the objectives of the copyright systems. So they also value that AI can be used to support humans' creativity and support creation of additional information. So I think it was interesting to look at what they are how they are standing on different issues that we were debating each other. Although this may not be, this is just a comment, so it's not forcing someone to be on certain side or the other, but it actually provides some understanding of how they are seeing these issues. And of course, there is nothing that's determined in terms of copyright law or any other standards that we have right now, and AI technology is developing so fast. So there is still a lot to be discussed, but I think this document is interesting to take a look. Some more societal issues related to what AI is producing is misinformation and hallucination. And with the large language model, I mentioned a little bit about hallucination, but what it is from the statement from Wikipedia, it says a response generated by an AI which contains false or misleading information presented as fact. So it's not actually facts, but AI is really good at making it look like a fact. So it can be spread as misinformation, end up spreading the loss of trust in the society, and it can impact a lot on our daily life. Some of the example I have here, in May 2023, there was an image that has been distributed widely on Twitter saying that the Pentagon was exploded, and it had a bomb attack, which was totally not true. And the image was created by an AI. So, but then people, through the social media, the image spread out. It also was shared through even an authoritative news channels as well. And it definitely showed the impact of how AI generated misinformation can impact us in our lives. Another more funny example here is for the Luna New Year in 2024, a group of AI creators, AI image creators created this image of New York's Brooklyn Bridge with the dragon image added on, and people were like asking each other, is this real? Representing the ear of the dragon, but then it turns out that it was an image generated by AI. So these kind of images or even videos can easily deceive people, and people tend to be confused about whether this is an AI generated or not. So there is some potential confusion and loss of trust that can be happening in our daily lives and largely in society. So place for information professionals, I think it's really important for us to be the group of people who can provide authentication of some of the information that's provided out there, guiding people to understand how these types of information can be identified, how to check the biases, how to identify misinformation, how to better understand how the AI tools are trained with. And this all contributes into the trust building, not only for our professionals itself, but overall AI use. People need to understand what to trust through the use of AI as well. And so related to that, a lot of discussion has been happening in supporting AI literacy from the library information science profession. I've been doing some of the research related to AI literacy, and the common concepts that I see from AI literacy models are providing some comprehension on AI so that people understand how AI system works and how it can be used and how it should not be used, and the access and analysis related information is identifying which tool to use for what kind of purposes. And people tend not to understand that well because all the tools look really cool and they just want to try things out. But each tools are designed differently. Some we've talked about, some are text-based, some are image-based, some use different kind of technology. So depending on your purpose, you need to understand what to use and understand how to analyze these tools to get to identify the right ones. Communication and use is also discussed a lot, and how you understand the outputs, how you present the outputs to fulfill your needs and your use. So it's just a matter of understanding AI tools, communicating with it, and then also communicating the outputs AI produced to the other audiences that you have. And that was another part of AI literacy models. And finally, almost every AI literacy models include the issues related to ethics. We need to understand the ethical boundaries of the use and dissemination of the AI information. We've already discussed some of the issues that may produce through the biases, copyrights, and misinformation. So we need to make sure that AI users also understand that, and we need to make sure that there are some of the laws and guidelines and maybe your own standards to understand and use the outputs that AI produces in an ethical way. So I think these areas are the major areas that we can contribute as information professionals, and make sure that users of AI can also use AI in a more productive and beneficial way, rather than having misunderstanding of some of the functions and features and ending up not fully utilizing the beneficial technology it produces. Okay, thank you. That's all I have for today, and I hope to have a good discussion with you.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Thank you so much, Sue, for this interesting and insightful presentation. Also, we would like to thank you for this clear explanation you shared of AI concepts and tools, which give us really a valuable perspective on how artificial intelligence is transforming the work of information professionals and improve their competences without substituting them, I believe them. Now let's move quickly because I know that you have a very limited time and we will do care about the time that you gave it to us. So we'll move quickly to the first question, which is, I call it the old and the renewable one. Should librarians and information professional specialists feel threatened by the expanded role of AI in library and information field?
Yeah, I know this question will come up.
This is the $1 million question, I can tell.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
What I feel is the technology has evolved a lot, but we had the same kind of questions when Google came up too. So
Yes.
it's just I think we need to understand the technology. We need to understand where we can utilize it to better serve our users. And that doesn't mean that it's threatening us. The last points that I had in terms of the roles of information professionals, I think that's the important contribution and impact we can make in the age of AI. Again, that means that it's not threatening us. We can, users can have more options for their information needs, but there are places where we can contribute to make sure that users use the technology in the proper way for their needs. So that's my personal perspective. And you know, I'm not a fortune teller, so I don't know how it's gonna happen in the future. But based on you know, what we experienced in before, based on what we see now, I do see a lot of potential from AI technology, and I think we can extend our services, our information services to the users, and I see that benefit for us than a threat.
I totally agree with you. You know, so I can describe this situation just like the internet revolution at the beginning. So when we were in the daily work on libraries and they have these card catalogs and written this was handwriting and then moving to the typewriter and then that, and when we found that the internet just jumping into the whole processes of the work on the library, we said that, oh my God, this will substitute the librarian, no more personal librarian. I think that, and as I started in the beginning, that the revolution, if you can call it a revolution of AI, it's just coming just to support and create the human to invent a new intelligences. So we try to focus more on the patron or on the customer. We have to don't think at all and don't worry about the routine, this routine repeatable works. Let's focus more about coming closer to the user of the library, understanding their situation, put them ourselves in their shoe, understanding that there is a new needs that should be created. We have to come closer to them. This is what I can share with you. How do you see what I just mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the examples that was shared in terms of using AI technology into our information practices that can help us do more efficient research for providing better information to the users, help us enhance our retrieval skills using AI technology. So all that is, you know, supporting what we provide and enhance that further. So I totally agree with what you say, and I think this will provide us another types of opportunities. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And we have some feedback from our attendees. Just they say that it will not replace it, so that's very good. So we have to fight for our existence. Okay, the next question is about what are the long-term risks of academic institution relying on AI tools that owned by a private company? So I can say that this is one of the main things that if you raise this within the academia, especially that you have this background and me as well. How do you see this? How we can not prevent, but at least manipulate or taking advantage of the technology of AI without having some risks? Please go ahead, Sue.
That's very important question and a great question too. So people who are resistant in using AI tools are usually afraid of feeding some personal information or their research product into AI and afraid that it gets used in unexpected ways. So some tools provide you a way to control whether the data that you input can be used for training or not. And maybe those kind of thing is something that we can educate users, with along with AI literacy in terms of understanding all the features of AI tools and how you can control your own settings. Although even though you do the check mark, I do know that the companies will still collect your information. And that has been always the other side of the coin. When you use technology, you gain the convenience and efficiency, but then you are also providing information and your own data to the system. So I have to say that I do not have a concrete answer on how to deal with this, but I know that a lot of universities, when they subscribe to certain AI tools, they have some agreement. And I've been advocating that librarians and information professionals should be part of that discussion in terms of determining what can be shared and what cannot be shared based on the institution's context. So if you're working for an academia, the research products would be the most critical and sensitive part of the data, and maybe some personal information like students' information. So I think you need to be an advocate for any kind of discussion or agreements on the data sharing with the AI companies as an information professionals, and you should be upfront and take those kind of roles and be part of the discussion. And also educate users on different ways of controlling the data inputs provided by the users.
Perfect. And I can tell that now all the academic institutions just having their own security service that supporting, protecting the personal internal information without losing the advantage of the AI. The next question is about, you talk about the training the AI. So who you think that are capable and responsible for training AI? And is it a solo responsibility or it's a joint or group work, we can tell?
That's a great question too. So when ChatGPT came out and when it was released first, it was already trained by a huge set of web data, and they used web data because it's available, it's already public, and so they came up. They are presented to you with certain data training already completed, but AI is continuously training itself through the communication with the users. So more people use it, then it gets trained better, right? So and it's truly true with the text-based generative AI or image-based generative AI, because they are dealing with different kind of inputs they get from the users, because whether user like the outputs or not, and whether they make more adjustment after the initial outputs, and those are all types of measurements that they get in terms of the feedback from the users. So I think this is a group effort, not just for the company that develops AI tools, but the users as well. So when I talk to our students, I tell them that, you should be aware that you are also training AI tools. And that's also part of the thing that that users should be aware of. It's not just using the tool and benefiting from it, but you are also training it. So the way that you say it, the way that you be more persistent on the quality of the outcome, and that could improve the AI tools in terms of their training.
Perfect. And thank you for this telegraphic answer. That will give us opportunity to answer more and more questions. Okay, the next one, it's about if AI becomes highly efficient at accessing, analyzing, and summarizing information, how we can protect the value and the integrity at the academia or academic university. I think it's a good one as well.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I think the higher education faculty are most concerned about that part, because a lot of students are just utilizing AI tools to summarize their readings, and they don't really do the readings. They don't do the writing, and they get support from AI tools. And I've heard a lot of discussion from faculty saying that they're concerned about students not really learning how to do critical thinking and critical analysis. So I think I understand the concerns, and I feel that too. If students understand what it is, what AI is, and how it works, they also understand the lack of the outcomes, they may be missing some of the background, they may be biased, they may not have some of the context that you are considering. And when I talked with some of the undergrad students, sometimes they were just doing it for fun and just for saving time. But when they understand how it functions, particularly related to the large language models, they do think about what it means to use AI for some of the activities they do. So I think, again, it comes back to getting trust and authentication, and also supporting AI literacy would be the key of the education, especially when younger generations will be more comfortable with AI tools, and they will be more better suited in using AI technology. So the major concern I have is that they just get used to the tool, not understanding how it functions. So if we can fill that gap, I think they will also understand where it fits well and where it doesn't fit well.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you. I think this is the time we have to stop saying that use or not use, like to be or not to be for AI. Now it's a time to how to use it with an efficient and effective way, and give space for more creativity and innovation. So the routine, the repeatable function that our analyzing and this stuff, I think this function we can just delegate it or just assigned to the AI agent, and we can focus more about the new ideas, the new era of thinking about something will be more creative. So I think it depends about how the person just thinking about AI and how to use it in a proper way. Okay, so we will have just only two more questions. I know that your time is very tight, so yeah, we will totally respect, and you just draw my attention to this one. The first one is about what is the outlines, what is the main policy that you think the library and information professionals mainly should follow to take the maximum advantage of using AI within the library?
What is, can you repeat the first part of the question?
Yeah, it's about the policies or the outline that you think that the information professionals and specialists should be taking into consideration when they use the AI within the library?
Oh, okay, that's a great one. I think when we talk about AI in our department, we talk about how we can use it for our professional activities, but also you also need to think about how you can use it for your user services. And so there seems to be two parts, and some of the examples that I shared with you are mainly the portion that you can use as a professional activities, like doing better research, identifying information to do a better resource description. So so if you were to create policy within the library for AI use, I think there will be two sides of it. So how to use it for your user services and how to use it for your own task related activities, so information services. And I think you need to think carefully about your collection, what they are, whether they can be fed into AI tools in terms of data training concerns again. So there are the major portion of the policy can be related to what can be used, how you can use it, and what kind of data can be input. And the other part of related to user services is, again, going back to educating your users and ensuring that they are using the right tools for the right purposes. So focusing on AI literacy and advocating the right use of AI. So those are two major things that I can think of on two sides of the activities. Of course, there will be different priorities depending on the organization you work and their concerns. But those are what I can think of as the major points.
Perfect. And I think this is a big part of your project about the AI awareness and the literacy, I can tell, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The last question that's wrapping up our webinar for tonight. It's interesting one. How do you think we can see with the AI in the coming, not 10 years, 5 years, the coming 5 years, 2030? How do you find AI will do? Is there something else we'll call it something different from AI or something, or some of other technology that could domain the information professionals field and environment, right? Or right?
Great question. And like I said, I'm not a fortune teller, so I don't really see the future exactly. But
let us dream, Sue. Let us dream.
Yeah. So you know, considering the trend that we see right now, a lot of activities are trying to go into more general AI from narrow AI we have right now. So there will be some effort in terms of more AI technology embedded into our daily lives. So whether, you know, you don't have to really go to a tool to use it. It's going to be embedded in everywhere, every devices, every services you see. So, you know, you may be using AI without even recognizing that you're using an AI. Also looking at the improvement you see with AI tools, you know, since ChatGPT, it's been only 3-4 years now, and you are seeing so much improvement in the outcomes that they generate. If you look at image-based generative AI, the quality of images are very impressive. So down the road, I think the outcomes that we see will be very much improved, and we'll be using it. I guess AI may be gaining its own trust in terms of better qualities of the outcomes they generate. And so yeah, so I mean, it's going to be the tools that will stay. It's not going anywhere, and it's only going to improve. So that's something that we will be, aware of. We should be aware of it.
All of us can follow how the Will Smith eating the spaghetti pasta, how this part of the video just improved and become its very real one in the recent, I think, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
so very, very cool. Okay, so now we come up to the end of this webinar, which all of us, including me, don't want to end it up because you share with us a very interesting and distinguished information. I can tell that you raised many questions more than answering, which is a very successful way. And this flow of thumb up and hearts that you can see it here is a proof of that everybody just enjoying what you shared with us, and for sure that we are looking forward to have you again, for sure, based on your availability time, which is for sure that will be a very interesting and valuable thing when you show. Thank you again, so for this interesting and valuable presentation, and thank you for all the attendees, and I will leave for you the last word in this webinar. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. And I really enjoyed all the questions. It was really thoughtful and very critical questions that we need to think of. So it also gave me some further ways of thinking it too. So thank you so much for great questions. Thank you, Dr. Matoli, again for inviting me. This has been really fun project for me. And thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, and the honor is ours, and we're pleased to have you. And for sure that we'll be very, very happy to have you again. Thank you for everybody attending here, and we invited you to attend the upcoming Naseej Academy. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.